Hi, and welcome to Eat Well with Parkinson's. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Paula.
We're going to be your host today. Before we get started, I would like to give a shout out to our live audience guests. Welcome and thank you for joining us. We have a special guest today.
Yeah, my husband.
You want to put him on the spot?
Yeah.
So we are thrilled to be here. This is our 9th Eat Well TV show at LTV Studios, which is pretty exciting.
I can't believe it, can you?
No, time goes quickly.
I also feel like we've got a better rhythm going as we go on, because it seems like just getting the challenge together of getting everything set has been quite the challenge.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, but it's amazing to be here and so much fun to produce this program with you.
Yes.
So I've been asked, why eat well with Parkinson's? Eating well is important for everybody. I think there's an argument to be made for that. I'm sure Paula could talk to us about that for hours and hours. But why Parkinson's disease? There are over 1 million people living with Parkinson's disease in the United States. It is a neurodegenerative disorder. There is no cure, unfortunately, to date. The number of people living with the disease have doubled over the past 20 years and is estimated that it's going to double again in the next 20 years. So as researchers obviously are looking for a cure and looking for better medications, we do know that there are choices that people with Parkinson's disease can make to help them live better and live well, truly. Exercise is a big one, and that's for another show. But of course, making healthy food choices, cooking healthy foods, and eating well is really important for disease symptom management. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, and sometimes I feel like people ask, what can I do and what can I eat? But they also have to remember, what can I take away? And sometimes if we crowd or bring the good stuff in, hopefully that'll crowd out some of the bad stuff. But what we're talking
about, great segue.
Yeah. But what we're talking about today is a really, really big important component of it, because a lot of people that have Parkinson's disease come to the decision that they like to eat sugar, they get some good feelings about sugar, and they don't want to stop eating sugar.
So that's the topic, right? What's the deal with sugar? Okay. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because I know you and I mean, you might eat sugar like as a snack, or eat sugar when I don't feel great, or do you have any of those kind of things going on?
I try to avoid sugar, actually, but I have a huge sweet tooth. I made a choice a few years ago to consciously try to cut sugar out of my diet. So sugar for me is a treat at this point, but I miss it. I do. So I'm looking forward to learning more.
Okay. So it's very important for patients with Parkinson's disease to really manage and moderate their sugar intake and their fast-acting carbohydrate intake.
Which is what? What do you mean by that?
Like they're simple carbs, like pastas and breads are killers for some people, just cookies, cakes, candies,
the white flour,
fudge, chocolate, the refined flours. Okay. So those fast-acting carbs just have some detrimental effects for a patient with Parkinson's disease. What the theory is, and when we look into a little bit about the research, we're starting to understand that the sugar actually increases insulin metabolism, which is a good thing in a small amount, and it actually helps improve some people's symptoms, because what happens is it takes those dopamine firing neurons and it increases them. So then when you say that, if you're just going to say that, then you're going to say, well, why can't I eat all sugar? If it helps my dopamine and helps me feel better and helps my body feel better, why can't I do that?
And before you answer that question, just to let people know who maybe aren't as familiar with Parkinson's disease, the dopaminergic cells in the brains are the cells that unfortunately die over time. And so there's a depletion of the neurotransmitter dopamine in the brain. So you're saying that eating sugar can actually enhance dopamine in the brain.
Yes.
But there's a but.
But
yeah.
Also. And the other point just about sugar is sometimes we go through varying phases of acceptance and denial and depression with a concern of a person with Parkinson's disease. So that depression is sometimes people use sugar as a go-to to try and get depression up too. Okay, because there's a whole sugar and brain reward system that we see, and even just sometimes having the sugar or saying I'm going to have the sugar helps us feel good. So there's a lot of reasons why a person with Parkinson's disease might rely on sugar a little more heavily than we like them to. But there is a problem with that, as I said.
You want to jump into that and tell us what it is?
Yeah, so basically the problem with excessive sugar consumption, excessive carbohydrate, fast-acting carb consumption is it turns the insulin on too much. It turns the want and desire for sugar on too much, and it turns on the system that you want, that it can promote weight gain, it can promote inflammation in the body, it can promote insulin issues, weight issues, and it also just promotes this up and down feeling because the sugar makes you get happy, but then your sugar drops. So it's kind of like it does some good things, but overall for brain health and brain support, we really need to kind of go moderate on the sugar, moderate on the carbs, because that's really what the detriment is. And the other thing I feel like is if I'm eating the sugar or I'm having the sweets, I'm not eating all the good stuff on my plate that we've talked about all season with what's the good things for the body.
And I just want to add one additional thought, which is you mentioned that living with a chronic disease can lead to depression and anxiety and some of these other secondary symptoms, which is true. But those two symptoms actually are primary symptoms of Parkinson's disease as well. And I wonder if, if our go-to is sugar as a way to feel better and to lift our mood, I wonder if there are other healthy treats that we would look forward to, perhaps just as much, that are better for us, but would also help us feel better.
Yeah, so the first point about that is when we eat too much sugar, it also has an effect on our GI tract. And a lot of people with Parkinson's disease suffer from issues with their GI tract, with burying bowel movements, and the gut mucosa and the microbiome are the good bacteria. So the sugar feeds the bad bacteria take over, it sends a message through the vagus nerve to the brain, and the brain gets more anxious. So that's another reason to really cut things down. So the good news is though, if you find treats that you like, and all season we've been doing a lot of different treats and lots of substitutions. So you can substitute with non-refined white sugar. You can use a little bit of honey, you can use maple syrup. Today we have a secret ingredient that we're using for sweetness. So there's a lot of things you can do, but moderation is still always the key because you want those good foods, that MIND diet, the 30 vegetables and colorful vegetables that we talk about often. That's what you want in your diet. And you want your sugar to be more of a treat or a reward, but not an everyday excessive amount.
Makes sense. What are we making today?
So today we're kind of treating a little party atmosphere. We know the holidays are upon us. So we're making a roasted cauliflower with a tahini yogurt dressing. And we're making a baked brie with a cranberry sauce on top.
Sounds delicious. Should we get started?
Yeah, let's get started.
All right.
So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to steam the cauliflower. So I have a head of cauliflower in my pot here. It's not hot because I just did it ahead of time. So you take the cauliflower, you steam it halfway, and then what we're going to do is we're going to make a nice paste to put on the cauliflower, and what that's going to do is that's going to give us a lot of flavor. Okay, so I'm going to take the cauliflower and I'm going to actually put it on here. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
And how long would you, if we were steaming, I know you pre-steamed it just to save a little bit of time, but if we were doing this at home, how long would you?
Well, it's about 15 minutes to steam.
Okay.
And can you tell us how to get to the recipes? Because I always forget.
Yeah, of course. You can visit our website at the end of this show. There'll be a QR code. You can scan it. It goes to the Eat Well with Parkinson's website. And on that website, you can find all of our nutritional fact sheets. We've done a different topic each month, so you can go back and watch videos, find the nutritional fact sheets, and also all of the recipes are there.
Okay.
And they're delicious.
So we're making a paste, and we're
Okay.
using, and the amounts are on the website. So we're using some spicy or hot paprika,
And what's in the bowl right now, Paula?
some olive oil. So
Okay.
some olive oil as our base. We're going to use some crushed garlic.
Ooh, I love garlic.
This is spicy and strong. We're going to use some lemon zest for a little brightening of the flavors. And we always use a little bit of salt and pepper, but that's something you can moderate based on what you like and what your family likes. Okay.
Here, why don't I get those out of the way for you?
Okay.
Are you done with all of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, wait, no, leave the salt and pepper.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So then we mix it all up. We make a nice paste. And what this is doing is this is going to really give a beautiful color to the cauliflower. Okay.
And it's fragrant already, even without cooking.
Yeah, that's the lemon zest. And I like lemon because lemon gives out, a very satisfying, bright flavor. And sometimes just thinking of other things and things that entice our flavors, not just sweet all the time. Sometimes when you cut down on the amount of sweets you eat, you start tasting things in a new way.
That is true. And I'll also mention that for me, cooking at home, I have learned slowly that having the right tools can make a big difference when you're preparing dishes. So having a zester was one of my new acquisitions. It sounds like a small thing, but it makes a big difference when you're including it in your recipes. Makes it much easier.
Yes. Okay, so we are trying to get every nook and cranny of the cauliflower. And you know, it's interesting when I look at food, and I've been a dietitian for a long time, when I look at the research around it, they say foods that look like body parts often support the body parts. So cauliflower kind of looks like a brain, walnuts look like a brain. So those are kind of some things that I think are good to include. Okay, so I'm going to pop out of the oven the cauliflower, one of the cauliflowers. Okay. So what we're going to do is actually we would put this in the oven now and we would roast it at 425 for about 30 to 35 minutes. So we are going to take this one and magically have it disappear and bring out our other one. Okay. So this is what it's going to look like when it's done. And what we're going to do is we're going to put it on our platter.
Okay.
And then I'm going to make up the sauce.
Okay.
Okay. So you want to just bring.
Why don't I hold this for you?
Yeah. How do you get this off nice and gracefully? Put it down lower.
Sure.
Oh, actually, you might have to use that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very delicate because it's very cooked.
Oh, it looks delicious.
Okay, so we'll just put this here.
I'll trade you.
Watch
Is
out.
it really
Yeah.
hot?
Okay. Okay. So now this sauce that we're going to make is tahini, which is sesame paste, some lemon juice, some garlic, some yogurt, and some salt and pepper. Okay. And what we're going to use is we're going to just use my immersion blender because we don't want to take the big blender out and make a mess. So what's good about this too is this is a little bit of healthy fat that we're using. So that's good for the brain as well. And it's also some protein and a plant-based protein, and some Greek yogurt gives us a little bit extra protein. As you know, if you've been following us all year, I like to really have people have good sources of protein throughout the day for satisfaction. Okay, and then lemon juice. Okay, and a dash of salt and pepper just to spice it up a little bit. Okay. And we're just gonna blend it. Okay. Always makes too much noise. Okay, so you're just gonna blend it up to a smooth consistency. And you can add a little bit of water to thin it out.
The tahini is very thick
Yes.
and sticky.
Yeah. Do you use tahini at
I
home
love
in some of your
tahini.
recipes?
Yeah.
It's the main ingredient in our hummuses. Okay. So we have one of these already prepared. So we're just going to switch to that one. It's in
Okay.
that bowl over there. Okay. So let's just get this out of the way. Okay. And now the good thing about this is something you can do all ahead of time. So we like to make sure that when the party happens or when dinner is ready, the cauliflower is all roasted with the spices on it. And what we're going to do is you want to do it while I talk? We're just going to bathe the cauliflower in this nice creamy tahini dressing.
It just goes on top?
It just goes all around. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to garnish it. It doesn't have to be a lot.
Okay.
We're going to garnish it with some roasted red grapes and toasted pine nuts. Again, you can use the walnuts, you can use any nut. We wanted to have a little bit of colorful difference because one of the things that we talked about last time, remember we talked about food apathy.
Yeah.
With Parkinson's disease, and we have food apathy, we want to make everything eye-catching and enticing. Okay. So we're just going to put some grapes on it. You want to sprinkle some of the fresh herbs.
I would love to. We have some parsley.
Okay. And you can substitute pomegranates seeds for this, or diced apple. I kind of just was hesitant with those pomegranate seeds because they're a little hard and sometimes they can get stuck if you're not a good have swallowing issues. And then some pine nuts. Okay.
Beautiful, Paula.
Yeah, so let's just jump aside from this and try and get the other recipe going so we have enough time. Okay.
So why don't I get this started? Do you want to tell us sort of a little bit more about how to make healthy food choices during the holiday season?
Okay, great. So this recipe is actually just for ingredients. It's cranberries, whole
Yeah.
cranberries. It's orange juice, honey, orange zest, and cinnamon.
So I'm putting in 1 bag of fresh cranberries.
Okay.
They're beautiful. About a half cup of honey, and I suppose you can put more or less
Or
depending
less,
on.
yeah. I mean, you notice we're not getting rid of sugar. We're just switching the sugar out. If you were to make a
Yeah.
cranberry sauce, you might use honey. And we're cutting down the amount, and we're putting a little bit of orange juice in for a little bit of
So
flavor.
about half a cup of orange juice?
Yes, and then we're doing the orange rind and the cinnamon.
I love that.
So one of the things I'd like people to think
Got
about
two.
when we come along in the holidays is trying to really focus on the event and the pleasure of the event, the socialization of the event, okay? One of the things I notice, I don't know how you do, but what happens when you go to a party?
Yeah, I'm one of those people, I like stand by the food table and eat a lot after I
So do I. I stand at the food table or I go right to the food and say, hey, what am I gonna eat
Yes,
today?
yes, exactly.
And it's really interesting. I know we have my husband in the audience. He goes and he socializes, and I have to bring him food. So it's really a different mindset, and that's what we want people to try and understand. This is not every day. This is a special event. You're getting together with people you love. Sometimes even bringing a food item that you know is healthier is a great way to enjoy it and enjoy the party. So you know you have your one safe food, what you bring, whether it's some vegetables or salad or a modified dessert with less sugar. You bring your safe item and then you know you can eat that and rely on that, okay? But it is very challenging and exciting to go and see what everyone has available.
Yeah, but I like one thing you said, which is you look and see what all the food choices are before you jump in. It makes it more mindful, more thoughtful. You can make choices about what is available to you.
And remember the MIND diet, we're talking about trying to increase those fruits and vegetables, getting the colorful vegetables on your plate, trying to have half a plate of vegetable. Make sure you have some really good sources of protein because protein helps fill us up. And sometimes when we're full, when we go to a party, we make better decisions than if we're starving.
Yes, that is also true.
So sometimes when you go to a party, do you ever not eat the whole day thinking, okay, I'll just eat at the party and then I can do whatever I want?
No, I don't do that because I have a tendency to get hangry.
Yeah.
As my husband reminds me. Yeah.
So it's good because you don't want to be hangry or hungry or tired or cranky when you go to a party. You want to try and have some nutrition in you so you kind of just don't have
It's
that.
like going to the grocery store when you're hungry.
Yeah.
It's very dangerous. Yeah.
Okay. So what we're going to do is we are going to cook this till it gets down, the cranberries burst.
And I wonder, it's so, first of all, I can smell it already, and it's not even cooking yet. It's very fragrant and delicious. I can smell the orange and the honey, and you can see how beautiful it is already. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, so, and this is just nice because it's another holiday kind of treat for us, but this could be an everyday appetizer if you have time.
So we're making 2 appetizers. One is the cauliflower, which is done and looks amazing, and then the second one.
So this is just a wheel of Brie that we've taken and put in the oven for about 15 minutes at 350. And what we're doing is we're just trying to soften the cheese.
Okay.
And then we're going to take it over to our dish over here that we have prepared. And this is our sauce that we already have made, Sarah. So I'm going to ask if you can kind of put that on the.
You got it.
On the.
Here, let me help you with this.
Yes. Well, you can take all this off because this
What
is
is
just
it?
for
That's the
flavor.
thyme?
This is thyme, just for flavor. You can take it off and slide it on here. Okay, and then what we're gonna do is we're just gonna dress it with that dressing or that cranberry sauce, and what that's gonna do is that's gonna melt and get a little bit of gooey, and the sauce is gonna run over the side.
So Paula, we're lucky that we have this made for us in advance. If I was making the recipe at home, how long would I cook that for?
You would cook it for about 15 to 20 minutes just to kind of get it soft and just to really kind of thicken it up. The honey is a little bit of thickeners, but you want those berries to burst. And when they burst, they're just going to exude the healthy flavors. But remember, the berries are a little tart too. And that's the thing. We're trying to challenge people. Like, how much sweet do you need? Can you have a little bit of tart with it to try and balance it out? And one of the things is what we talked about, gut and gut health. We talk about sugar addiction. We try and make sure people have a good amount of bitters in their life.
Mhm.
So brain health requires bitters. The greens are very, very good for the brain. They're very good for the heart for people that don't have Parkinson's disease. So you want those bitter greens because sometimes just eating a daily dose of bitters instead of an apple a day, doctor
And what do
away.
the kale, collard greens.
Kale, collard greens, endive,
Yeah.
even just
Arugula.
arugula, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, broccoli. Those bitters have a good amount of sulfur in it, so that helps with the liver to cleanse the body. But it also helps to decrease our interest in sugar, because if we balance it out a little bit better, nobody believes you and says that eat the bitters to not eat the sweets. But I promise you, if you change your life around and you try and eat less sugars, you'll start tasting foods better. And when you taste foods better, you're going to appreciate the sweets that we've created.
Your palate changes a little
Yes.
bit.
Okay.
That.
So Sarah, I have one more surprise for you today. Okay. So every time we have one of our talks, we do a believe it or not. So we take our creations and we turn them around and we say, okay, what can I do to make something healthy that's a better recipe?
Okay.
Okay. So today we made some black velvet cupcakes. If you want to bring one over here.
Yeah. So I guess it's a live believe it or not.
It's a live or believe it or not. So Sarah does not know what's in this recipe because I worked on it privately.
It's gorgeous.
It's gorgeous. So what we're doing is we're taking a healthy, what is it called? I can't remember now what it's called. A red velvet cupcake. So we're making a healthier version of a red velvet cupcake. So red velvet is just a chocolate cake with red food dye in it.
Right.
And red food dye is something we don't want because we don't want any dyes or additives, preservatives, because that just confuses our body. We want to try and really cut out all the processed things to give our body and our brain really chance to heal and work as best as possible, to get that dopamine working on its own and not prevent things from happening. So you want to cut in and take a bite, or you're just going to take a bite?
I'm just going to do it.
Okay.
So it's beautiful pink frosting. Mmm.
Okay. So
That is delicious.
what do you think?
I definitely taste cream cheese in the icing.
Okay, and that's a typical red velvet cupcake, does have a typical cream cheese icing.
Not too sweet.
And there's less sugar, so we cut the amount of sugar down, because like I said, we want to try and change the a bit, because we cut the sugar down, we needed to increase the flavor and the sweetness.
I do, it still has cocoa, I think. I can taste the chocolate
undertone. It's still a
Delicious.
chocolate cupcake. Okay.
That's it. I mean, those are the main flavors. The chocolate, the cream cheese, it's subtly sweet, not too sweet. It's delicious.
Okay, so what we can do is we can fool you into thinking this is a regular cupcake at a buffet. Nobody would think otherwise, right?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
I even think my daughters would eat this.
Yeah, maybe my husband would eat it too.
We'll find out after the show.
Okay, so the secret ingredient in the cake
Drum
is
roll.
beets.
No
Roasted
way.
red beets, and the color of the roasted red beets is also in the cheesecake, the cream cheese
So
frosting.
that's how you get the nice pink color.
Yeah, and it's that
It's
mimicking
delicious.
the red velvet,
Mm.
and it's really just a chocolate cupcake.
It's delicious. Thank you, Paula.
Thank you.
We only have a few more minutes remaining.
What
Should
else
we
can we talk
sample
about?
some
Yeah,
of the
I guess you should try
cauliflower
it.
and the brie?
Yeah, we
No, I do have a question for you. If someone had difficulties with swallowing and chewing, is there an alternate for the crostinis, for the crackers or the breads that they could use?
they could use like a soft piece of bread.
Yeah.
They can also use like just eat the brie with a fork on its own without the bread.
Yeah.
And then really, I think the whole thing with swallowing is how do you feel that day?
Right.
Do I feel like my swallow is strong? Do I feel like my energy is strong? Remember, the other thing with Parkinson's disease is we have to see how we feel and reevaluate every morning.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we wake up, we take our medications. Usually we take the medications on the most active times during the day, so some of those medications working so well. So sometimes our best meal is breakfast or lunch.
Okay.
So that's another thing to think about. If you're having a family holiday party, maybe make it when it works best for you.
Okay.
Maybe having the party in as a brunch instead of a 7 p.m. dinner. Trying to get the family together early when you feel your best, when you have your most energy, and when your medications are working the best.
Makes
Okay,
sense.
so let's try it.
Here, I have one for you.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay. Mm.
Mm.
It's really good. I think
That is incredible.
I can taste the cinnamon. Can you taste the orange zest?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
The
great.
Brie is warm to perfection.
Okay.
Cranberry's not too sweet. Amazing.
Okay. And then you want to try the cauliflower?
I do.
Okay, actually we forgot to put the balsamic glaze on it. So the balsamic glaze
Just goes on the top.
yeah, just gives us a little bit extra flavor. So balsamic glaze you can find in your store. It's a condensed, sweetened, cooked down version of just balsamic vinegar. So it gives us that little bit extra flavor. So this is a very rich, spicy kind of cauliflower. It's giving us a little bit more flavor, and hopefully we can entice you with different types of things.
There, that's the better one. You take that one.
Okay, I'll take that one here.
Would you like a grape?
Yeah, I like grape.
There you go.
Okay.
Try one too.
Oh.
Not the easiest to sample on set. How is it?
It's very good. I taste the spices in there as well. Okay.
Mmm.
Okay.
Delicious.
So overall, I think we found 3 things that you can incorporate into your holiday. I know last month we talked about Thanksgiving and we had some things. How was your Thanksgiving? Did you incorporate some of our ideas?
I did, and we actually made a cranberry relish very similar to this. It was delicious.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so I'm gonna try your recipe next time.
Okay, because mine's less sugar. Maybe that'll,
That would be exactly
You know-
a little bit healthier.
Yeah, and what we say too, all our recipes are great for your family. It's not just a person with Parkinson's disease, so we don't ever want you to make anything just special for the caregiver, and the patient does not have to make anything special just for you. We want to make sure these are food items that you put into everything. And it's boiling over. I'll move it.
Here we go.
Okay.
And I will also add, just before we conclude today, that these recipes, like I said, are on our website. They are easy, they are quick, they are nutritious, and they are delicious. So as Paula was saying, they really are good for the family. We hope you'll give them a try.
Wow.
Thank you for joining us. Paula, thank you so much.
Yeah, and we like to say that eating
Eat
well
Tastes great. Bye.
Bye, thank you. So the pot just boils over a little bit,
Yeah.
that's all.
All right.
So let's get some plates. You guys want to
Yeah,
try it?
come sample some.